Hi, my name is Megan Vasca, and for lesson 4, I chose the comic Aladdin: Legacy in the Lost. Pardon me. This is done by Radical Comics, um, also known as Radical Publishing. They are based out in Hollywood, Los Angeles. Also, they have offices in London. This is a 3-part series. I obviously chose the first one. I also read the second one, which was very good. The actual comic is written by Ian Egton and illustrated by Patrick Riley, as well as Shapan Sejic. I probably butchered those names. And it gives credit over here to everyone that was a part of this comic, which I thought was pretty cool after learning all that stuff about the first comics that came out. It takes place in a mysterious land, like a lot of places do, or a lot of stories do, when they go on some sort of adventure. The first guy we have right here is what I pronounce as Quasin. I don't know if that's the right way to spell his name, but this is what I would consider to be the shadow of the story, right? This guy is an evil sorcerer who uses people and murders them, just for funsies. As you can see here, he's making a deal, getting some information about this boy, and this boy, we find out, is Aladdin. And Aladdin had a mother whose blood was mystic and had the ability to walk into this cave, which we find out later on in our story. And it's just talking about Aladdin and where he came from, and he obviously needs him to find this thing, right? This mystical lamp that we'll find out about later. So he's getting info on that, and once he gets that info, he gives them money and then decides to kill them, which was, you go, Quasin. You definitely are this lovely evil sorcerer that we need in the story. And one of the cool things about this is the illustration done. I found it to be very unique. That was one of the top few things that said in the reviews, was the illustration on this story. And another reason why I chose this was I am absolutely in love with the tale of Arabian Nights. There are a lot of adaptations to it, and I'm a big fan of those adaptations. And this comic definitely takes a big twist onto it. It's very good. At the very end of this comic, he's talking about fate and destiny, which is a thing that a lot of mythology talks about. He's saying that Aladdin is actually in this place called Shambhala, which to Quasin is kind of like fate, kind of like destiny, and it is his destiny to meet Aladdin. At the end of the comic, we see right here that's annoying, the dice, which on the next page, Aladdin is gambling with dice. So that's a cool little intro and outro for that. So Aladdin is going to be our main character. I would consider him an anti-hero. As we see here in the very beginning, he's gambling. He's also cheating these lovely males who will later beat him up. And he's known as a thief. A pretty shady character, right? Not the qualities we really want. So he's thieving these guys out. And, he ends up, they find out, they beat him up, whatnot. I do have a question about his moral background, because, later on, he ends up giving some of his loot over, like right here, we see he's giving his loot to the people in Shambhala, which I kind of question. So is he a Robin Hood thief or a real thief? Because I think he is thieving for himself, but sometimes he gives money to others. We'll also see that kind of reappearing thing later on in this story. So now we're over here to some sort of, I don't know, merchant place, brothel, whatever, someplace in the town. And we know that Aladdin was raised in the brothel by prostitutes. His mother was put in there, and she died giving birth to him. So he's an orphan. So that's also pretty cool. We have his, I guess what I consider his family, because I think they're prostitutes. It kind of suggested a little bit that they were raised in the same place. And they're kind of saying, like, you almost got killed. What are you doing? You need to stop. And we got this really shady looking character, which will return in the second comic. His name is Sinbad. He's going to be an ally for Aladdin. Anyway, so they're making Aladdin feel terrible and just, telling him, like, you never worked a day in your life, blah, blah. That's terrible. So Aladdin feels angry as he ends up leaving. See his anger when he knocks over this table like a brat. We also had this character that was inside of, I guess, more of a bar. That probably was a bar. Which is Quasin. He reappears again, and he grabs Aladdin and asks him, like, I'm going to pay you to, I want you to steal stuff from me. You're already a thief. You should steal stuff. And Aladdin's like, what? Who are you? I don't trust you. And he kind of asks for, if you're, over here it says, if you're serious about, if you're serious, how about something on account? So the evil sorcerer fixes his eye, which was damaged at the beginning of our story when he was gambling. So they go on this journey, and usually in the hero tales, it talks about how the hero rejects the journey, kind of refuses to go a little bit. Aladdin's like, okay, I guess I'll go, make some money and stuff, because that'll show the people that don't believe in me. And he goes on this quest, and he is like, really, at this point, he's kind of like, you said this was a day's work. We've been traveling for 3. Where are we anyways? He's a little bit lost. He doesn't really know what exactly he's getting himself into. So he enters this mysterious thing, and the lovely part about this is when Quasin comes up to him, he really starts Aladdin on this adventure into away from his normal thieving, terrible life. So he goes in there. He has about 30 minutes to get this done. Pressure. What was the time limit? He's in this little cave, which a lot of weird things are at, and he gets the lamp for Quasin. He returns with the lamp, and like the evil guy that Quasin is, Quasin takes the lamp and is like, you fool, and now I'm going to kill you. And Aladdin sneakily steals it back and gets locked in the cave. There's a lot of action scenes, so I'm just going to smooth them over. He's locked in the cave, and he is getting attacked by some random creatures, and those creatures, he runs away, and he has a lamp, and he's like, okay, so oil's got to come from the lamp, right? And the genie comes out, or the jinn. I like the word jinn. That's what a lot of the mythological tales use, but nowadays we know it as a genie. And I like the way that this genie is depicted, because of the fact that this genie, he is intimidating and scary and not overly pleasant like the Disney fairy tales of them make him out to be, right? This is more of a myth. It's a more mature comic. It's pretty cool, especially with the whole brothel thing. It's definitely more mature. And then over here we're back in Shambhala, and we got the king, who we'll later see on as far as farther in the series. And we see him as kind of, he's not exactly an ally. He just is kind of more of a catalyst. He just kind of speed things up. Very, very greedy man. And then we have his daughter right here. And her name is Alicia, and she is the princess. And Aladdin ends up falling in love with her, which is pretty cool. But she is very smart for a woman, very wise. They're talking about this random building that just appeared out of nowhere, and that is where Aladdin appears, right? So he gets 3 wishes from his djinn, and one of the wishes obviously was to have this giant thing. And again, I question the Robin Hood manner of Aladdin, because of the fact that later on in the second book, he is giving out treasures and troves to the people of Shambhala. And here's another depiction of what's going on. Again, this looks like a god instead of, a blue genie from Disney. Pretty cool. So with that, just some additional things that we see here is the plot of this is Aladdin, a thieving scoundrel, partners up with the evil sorcerer who tricks him, and goes on an adventure to find a mysterious lamp which contains a djinn. And this starts off the ball of his life, right? So later on in the story, obviously, if you can't guess, Quasin comes back and wants the djinn and blah blah. So it's a bigger storyline than it is. And towards the end of it, the Quasin, the evil sorcerer guy, is trying to take over and use all of his powers for evil, while Aladdin uses the nothing he has, because once he's without the djinn, he is nothing, and ends up defeating him, right? And it's very, very cool. It's one of those, good versus evil comics that has a different depiction, right? It's a more mythological, like, type of area, and I really enjoyed this comic. There's really not much else I can say about it other than that is the storyline, that's the plot, and I hope you enjoyed my little video. Thank you.